So the other day I was sharing in terms of the battle I was having with a dentist who was saying, I'm going to keep my money in a 5% savings account and not pay down my 3% mortgage. And look, I understand on the surface that seems to make sense, but there's the emotional component and then there's the math. And so I'm going to kind of go through two separate parts of this to explain the math on why paying down a mortgage, even with a low interest rate, might make sense, especially when you have access to that money that you just put in to pay it down. So let me pull up a spreadsheet here. I know this is a ton of numbers. I know people's heads are gonna their eyes are gonna roll in the back of their head just because once they start to see numbers, they're like, dude, forget it, doesn't matter. But I want you to kind of understand in terms of what I'm trying to share here and what I'm trying to show. So let's just assume someone is literally getting a mortgage the start of 2024. It's a 6.5% interest rate. Frankly, I'm not following interest rates too closely, but I think you can do this if it's a primary home. $400,000 are taking out 30-year mortgage. Their payment over the next 360 payments, 360 months, is going to be just over $2,500. And you're going to hear some people say, like, oh, the interest is front loaded. No, the math works out so that for you to have 360 equal payments that you can fit into your budget, because most people are like, I make X, I want Y. Does Y fit in the budget of X? There's a reason why you go to car dealerships and they never talk to you about the full price. They talk to you in terms of the monthly payment, or the average monthly payment right now is $715 a month for a car. So they're going to say your monthly payment's going to be $500 or $800 a month. They don't tell you the car is going to be worth 70, or the car is going to cost you $70,000. Because most people hear 70,000, I can't afford it. But if I hear 800, I'll figure out a way. And this is what the banks do. So to have 360 equal payments, yes, the interest is front loaded, but that's to make the math work. And here's what I mean. And this is what this dentist was not getting. On that $2,500 payment in month one, a whopping $360 goes towards paying the balance. That means 2,100 of your $2,500 payment is money to the bank. That's how they make their money. And so when you think of this from an interest rate perspective, 2,100 out of a $2,500 payment, the effective monthly interest rate, which I have right here in the bottom right-hand corner, is 85%. That's worse than going to a loan shark. 85%, if you annualize that, if you can make 85% a month, that is literally 10xing your money in 1 year. And this is what she didn't get. Here's the amount of interest month by month by month, just add it up. And here's your total payment. And so let's just go down 1 year. We're now at 12 months here. Let's look here. We have made $30,000 in payments over the 12 months. $26,000 of it is interest, which means your balance of $400,000 after 1 year went down to $395,500. This is not 6.5%. Yes, the stated interest rate might be 6.5%, but after 1 year, your effective interest rate that you were charged was 84% over the year. 7% a month is essentially what they are collecting on you. And this is what that dentist wasn't understanding, is that even if we get down to her 3% interest rate, let me switch this here. Yes, now the payment went down to $1,700 a month. I'm not denying that a lower interest rate is going to save you more money. Okay? Not denying that at all. But look at this. Even at that, less of that payment, under 50%, closer to 40%, is still only going to pay the balance down. More than half of it is still interest to the bank. And so let's go down a year here. We're now month 12. Let's go over. We've paid $20,000 in payments at a 3% interest rate. More than half of it is interest. That is a 58% effective interest rate for the bank. But my mortgage says 3%. Do you see the manipulation in terms of the interest rate? This is the magic trick. Everyone's focused on the interest rate. How much did you pay down the balance of the debt? If you can pay down the debt faster, then you win the game because you're being charged less interest over time. Now, doing this and not having access to the money you just put in, that's the second part of this. So and this is the other frustrating part in terms of that, why they wouldn't even get on a phone call with me, that they only wanted to fight with me over text. Now, let's say that we've got a $300,000 mortgage remaining on what was a large mortgage, and your payment is $3,000 a month. And let's say you have $200,000 in cash. That $200,000 is earning 5% right now in a high yield savings account. If you don't touch that $200,000, it's your emergency fund. At the end of 1 year, you're going to earn $10,000 in interest, and that interest is going to be taxable to you. But with the strategy that I share with people in terms of how to utilize a line of credit effectively for cash flow optimization, what we would do is we would marry this $200,000 against the debt, where our net debt would be $100,000. And even if that interest rate on that debt is 9%, so even a little bit higher than what is right now, so higher than a 3% mortgage, higher than a current roughly 6.5% mortgage, I'm using a 9% interest rate here. The payment you have to make on $100,000 is $750, saving you $2,250 a month from your budget. That's that's nearly $27,000 a year saved from your budget compared to this $3,000 a month you had to pay every month. So I'm going to ask you, and oh, by the way, that's tax-free. So I'm going to ask you, would you rather earn $10,000 or would you rather save $27,000 in payments from your budget? That's all I'm trying to get at. Whether you earn or whether you save on payments, they are both increasing your cash flow. And more importantly, is that you are paying less interest over time, which goes back to my argument, which she countered herself into. She cornered herself into this in terms of, I want to pay less over time. But if you don't give me the chance to even explain this, you'll never see the math behind it in terms of why this makes sense. And the only reason why I even felt better the rest of that day is that one of my clients who's only been with me for about 5 months is like, now this is finally kicking in, and I see we've already paid off like 8 years of the mortgage in 5 months. They are whacking away in terms of how much money is going to the bank versus going to stay in their pocket and keep for themselves. And that's what I'm here to do, is to lift the burden from fixed debt payments, expand the cash reserves. So now that you've got more money per month, now that you've got that opportunity fund set up, now you can deploy into investments, into assets, into getting closer to your version of freedom. Thanks for hearing this video. If you want to see what your results can be, type the word results in the comments section and we'll connect. Thanks so much, guys.